Incidents like these hold many lessons, and it is important to acknowledge them. There have been numerous cases, especially in cities like Karachi and Lahore, where graves have mysteriously disappeared. However, the cause is not supernatural, it is corruption. Many cemeteries erase old graves, replace them with new ones, and attach fake nameplates. When a wealthy person passes away, these ready-made graves are sold for large sums in emergency situations. This is not just speculation, but a harsh reality. In the Defense Cemetery, a family's relative's grave suddenly vanished without a trace. Despite searching for a long time, there were no answers, only silence and mystery. Later, a disturbing incident came to light. A man who had lost his father used to visit his grave every Thursday without fail. However, when he moved abroad for several years, no one from the family visited the cemetery. The gravediggers and cemetery management took notice of this. Eventually, the grave was erased. When the man returned to Karachi and went to the cemetery, he was shocked to find that his father's grave was missing. He searched every corner of the burial ground but could not find it. When he confronted the gravediggers, they replied dismissively, "How should we know? Whether you visit regularly or not is your concern. Our job is only to provide water and maintenance." But he knew the truth. This was corruption at its worst. He filed a complaint, yet nothing came of it because everyone, from the lowest worker to the highest official, was complicit. Determined to uncover the truth, he devised a desperate plan. Aware that the cemetery gates were locked at sunset and only gravediggers remained inside after dark, he decided to stay behind. He entered the cemetery before sunset, hoping to find his father's resting place. His frustration had turned into a thirst for revenge. As dust settled, the cemetery gates were locked. The evening prayer call echoed in the air, and visitors gradually left. He knew that now no one would come looking for him. He waited patiently, watching as the gravediggers secured the gate and departed. Then, under the cover of darkness, he began his search. Wandering among the graves, he carefully inspected each one, looking for any clues. But his plan was far more reckless. He intended to dig up a grave he suspected to be his father's. This was his greatest mistake. Instead of seeking proper guidance or gathering evidence through legal means, he had chosen a dangerous path. The cemetery was vast, and he dared not use a flashlight, fearing the gravediggers might notice. Yet he knew they were not the only ones to be cautious of. Some believed the cemetery was home to other, more ominous beings. Grabbing a shovel, he began digging at the spot where he believed his father had been buried. He had barely made any progress when he suddenly felt a heavy hand on his shoulder. A deep, unfamiliar voice asked, "What are you doing?" Startled, he turned around. A tall man stood before him, his towering figure casting a shadow even in the dim moonlight. "My father's grave has mysteriously disappeared," the man explained, his voice trembling with both fear and anger. "I won't let these people get away with it. I know they removed it. Once I find the proof, I will call the authorities and expose them." The tall man remained silent for a moment before speaking in an unnervingly calm tone. "The grave you are digging does not belong to your father. It belongs to our people." A chill ran down the man's spine. "Who are you?" he asked hesitantly. "Do you live nearby?" The stranger's expression did not change. "Yes," he replied. "I pass through this cemetery often, and if you still don't understand, I can tell you more." It was then that the man noticed something strange. The tall figure had not blinked even once. His clothes were white, so brilliantly white that they seemed to glow in the darkness. An overwhelming sense of fear gripped him. This is not a human, he realized. His instincts took over. Lowering his gaze, he began to quietly recite Ayatul Kursi, a Quranic verse for protection. His hands trembled as he pleaded, "Whoever you are, for God's sake, please don't harm me." The tall man remained calm. "We also recite Ayatul Kursi," he said. "Your faith and mine are the same. That is why I am warning you. Leave before true harm comes your way. The grave you are digging belongs to one of us." A wave of terror washed over him. Without hesitation, he turned to leave. But before he could take another step, something seized his leg with immense force. A piercing pain shot through his body. He screamed as he fell to the ground, his consciousness slipping away. When he woke up, he found himself outside the cemetery. His legs were severely burned. marked with strange imprints as if bound by scorching iron chains. No one could explain how he ended up in that condition. Some speculated that he had been at ease. No one could explain how he ended up in that condition. Some speculated that he had been attacked while attempting some forbidden ritual. Others dismissed it as insanity, but the truth was known only to him. His health deteriorated after that night, but one lesson remained engraved in his mind. There are actions that should never be taken, paths that should never be chosen. Later, when he returned to the cemetery with officials and other witnesses, his worst fears were confirmed. The grave had indeed been erased, a victim of corruption. In the end, the choice of path is always in one's hands. Whether to take the right path or the wrong one, patience and wisdom should always guide the way.